Liberation greetings to all and sundry, my dear people of Ambazonia, my fellow brave warriors of the Southern Cameroon's liberation struggle. Accept greetings from me today, Comrade John Akura. Today is Wednesday, May 17, 2023. My dear people of Ambazonia, in a few days, in exactly 3 days, because today we're on the 17th, La République du Cameroon will be struggling to celebrate a lie in our land. And I've said it before, and I want to repeat it, that anytime someone tells us who they are, let us believe them the first time. And this is very essential. La République du Cameroon has demonstrated to us from 1961 to this day, over 60 years, that they never believe in resolving any issues. All they do is pretend to address the symptoms, and in the process, they struggle rather to demean, weaken, and shatter your efforts, only that they should succeed to continue to impose themselves on you. This is who La République du Cameroon has been since 1961, and this is who we should know them to be. And when you know who they are, you will treat them exactly for who they are. You will take them for whom they are, and you know how to deal with them. So this is why I always repeat it here, that when someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. Because always people tell us who they are. Is that we are so busy, so concentrated, believing in whom we think they are, that we don't pay attention to what they are telling us about themselves. Take this back to your individual relationships with people. You will realize that this happens. Right from the beginning, people always tell you who they are. But you decide to, see them through the image of them that you have created for yourself. And consequent on that, you end up always having it wrong. And we start regretting, start saying, but had I known, or I did not know this is how this person was, but you were told. This is exactly how we should deal with La République du Cameroon. Paul Biya opened his mouth himself and said it in Paris. Yet some people are still doubting today that the intention was to assimilate the people of the Southern Cameroons and transform us into bona fide citizens of La République du Cameroon, destroying our culture, destroying our colonial heritage, destroying everything, and making sure we simply become their puppets. And he personally recognized that it did not succeed, that it failed, that they thought at some point they were already there, but they were not there. In one of my outings, about 2 outings back, I talked about the force of persistence. And sometimes we'll listen to things and then we kind of forget. When I talked about the force of persistence, I talked about La République du Cameroon knowing that their method that seems in several spheres as not being the best always ends up succeeding because they put all the time on their side. The belief in the gradual erosion of time. And that is why they will use the same methods over and over. Panel beat them and we then busy shouting, oh, they are doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Whereas as far as they are concerned, they appear to be quantifying, measuring, and telling themselves we are inching in gradually because they think that they shouldn't be in a haste. But they fail to understand that times change and people's perceptions of things do change. The dynamics change. The way people see things change. And because of excessive development in technology, the new generation no longer sees things the same way that the old generation saw. Mr. Biya might have scored points by completely wiping out the political opposition to his system in La République du Cameroon, but he fails to understand that that approach will not work with Southern Cameroons because of the emergence of a strong, determined, and resilient never again generation. So therefore, in 3 days, they will be calling on us to celebrate a lie in which they themselves don't believe. Take a look at this. This is the newspaper Le Jour It's a French language daily newspaper in La République du Cameroon. Le Jour itself questions what they call national unity. Because as far as they too know, national unity for the case of La République du Cameroon is a farce. And that's why he says, that's why they, in Le Jour, they met quite a lot of people to ask them how they were, assessing the vivre ensemble, living together, national unity. And what is in the pages of this newspaper from the opinions of the people is very amazing. This is a French language newspaper. But over 90% of the people said the country was not experiencing vivre ensemble. And about 60% of them alluded to the Ambazonian question to point to the fact that the only way their government can address the situation is by being frank, honest, and stick to the facts rather than continuing to play games. This is just 3 days away from the so-called National Unity Day that I'm saying this. And my people, I want to make one clarification here, because it's very important. Every other country in the world, they celebrate National Day on their Independence Day. The day that some significant thing happened to make them redefine themselves as a people. That is what National Day to most countries is. For the people of France, they call their National Day the Bastille Day, July 14th. The day they stormed the Bastille, the day they destroyed the symbol of tyranny in the existence of their country, and that was seen in the monarchy, because the monarchy was a symbol of the tyranny in France. And so that is the day they mark. They're not marking the day that they were able to take back Alsace and Lorraine from Germany in 2018, or in 1918, 1919, in 1919. That's not the day they are marking. They're marking the day that changed something, that did something, that augmented, that redefined their nation. In Africa, all the national days are Independence Days. In the United States of America, they celebrate the day that they were able to defeat the British in 1776 to declare the independence of the United Nations of America, of the United States of America. So, my people, La République du Cameroon is the only country in the world, because don't see, if it were United Republic of Cameroon and they say we're observing, but May 20, we'll say, okay, on that day they organized a fast of a referendum to achieve something they called unitary state under United Republic of Cameroon. So saying two people came together. So it will be that they are the two parties that are celebrating unity. If this 20th May, we're calling when that country is called United Republic of Cameroon. Because on 20th May, what emerged from the fast, from the fraud, was called United Republic of Cameroon. But don't forget, in 1984, Mr. Paul Biya deleted United and maintained Republic of Cameroon. So as Republic of Cameroon, that country has just 1 day to observe, and that should be January 1, because that country achieved its independence on January 1, 1960. But nay, they will not. Let me explain to you why they celebrate 20th May. Because they are celebrating the day they aggrandized their territory. They are celebrating the day they successfully colonized you and I. The day they transformed you and I into their slaves and took us into slavery and servitude. They are celebrating May 20 because it is that day that they succeeded in dividing us to the point where they could easily conquer us and then change things right before our eyes, move on quietly to annexation, and we cheer them on. They are celebrating 20th May because that is the day they were able to offer themselves millions of slaves, millions of subhumans. That's why that Cameroon is celebrating 20th May. And so therefore, my people, the subject matter of this conversation is not just about 20th May, but is what is happening to the lead that's in the lead up to this 20th May. You are aware as well as I do that La République du Cameroon has tried to sell it to the world, that they have overcome Ambazonians, they have defeated Southern Cameroonians, they have taken us to their column, life is returning to normal. I even have some of their people singing platitudes to me every day. Oh, I'm in Cameroon and I can assure you that life has come back to normal. Yet, that's not what we get out of the territory, as you see right ahead on this broadcast. So I like us to delve quietly, peacefully into what happened in Buea when the heartless, soulless, bought over and manipulated so-called elite of the southern zone, they call it Southwest, met in Buea and the things that happened around there. That is what we'll be talking about in just a few minutes. But meantime, let's enjoy these beautiful airs. Ambazonia got a beautiful culture. Yeah. And that's that culture we are proud of. That's why I'm proud of who I am. Proud to be an Ambazonian. Proud to be from the former UN Trust territory of British Southern Cameroons. Because my people, there is so much for us to be proud about than to let ourselves be dragged into the mud by people who have exactly no idea where they themselves are even headed. Yet they feel that they need to drag us into that unfortunate journey of theirs. And so therefore, it came to pass that La République du Cameroon put pressure on Joseph John Gute. I'd like to give a quick background so you have a clear idea why what you saw is happening. That meeting that was held in Buea, was informed by the fact that Mr. Pobia decided to go back to what he knows how to do best. That is, hit heads, set people one against the other, so that while they are fighting among themselves, he is able to get whatever he wants, maintaining himself in power, tapping the resources, looting the country, and making sure he's preparing to put his son to take over from him as president of that country. And so they turned the heat on Chief John Gute Joseph. How? They made him to think that since he was the one picked up to pilot the pre-talks that had to lead to a peace process between the people of Ambazonia, La République du Cameroon in Canada, that the document signed in Canada that Mr. John Gute gave in too much. People gave in too much, and they even started accusing him that he was actually conspiring with the movements, the freedom movement, the liberation movements of the Southern Cameroons to get La République to a table where, without any argument, they will simply come to consecrate the independence of Ambazonia. And so, therefore, they had to press Mr. John Gute to make him understand that he was about to be replaced by Fayengo Francis from the Grassfield. And that Fayengo from Francis from the Grassfield has done an incredible job with the DDR centers, bringing children there to come and then surrender, and then not just surrender, and then become part of the army of La République du Cameroon, going and showing houses even of relatives of brave hearts, so that when they take the relatives hostage or they lead some of them, the boys will be forced to come out of the bushes and so on and so forth. And so Mr. John Gute, desirous to stick onto his position, and then his people, the territory said, no, we must keep this Prime Minister's office. Us as Southwest, as they call themselves, must keep this Prime Minister's office. They now had to go to the field to do the desperate things that we have seen. Not just desperate, but really despicable and shameful. And this is how they start. You see, at that meeting, they begin by giving the tone. The Prime Minister's envoy tasked Southwesterners to act because they say Peace and Development Forum. That's how they call it. They pretend to call it Peace and Development Forum. PM's envoy tasked Southwesterners to act. And what is it that is wanting them to act about? Of course, say Peace and Development Forum. We all know that there is an ongoing war in Ambazonia, in the southern Cameroons, a genocidal war perpetrated by La République du Cameroon, facilitated by France. And so therefore, when they are saying this, is because they want to push that line. They want to say, now we must go back to our playbook of divide and rule. Because Mr. Paul Biya tells himself that with time passing and then with them showing some kind of lousy images that should indicate that they are somehow overcoming the challenge of holding Amazonia in hostage, of holding Amazonia hostage, in bondage, in slavery, and in servitude. So they need a drive forward to go back to try what had succeeded for at least 5 decades and counting, for at least 6 decades and counting, which is divide and rule. So they should try one last time to see if some souls that have fallen along the lines could begin to go back and to the vomit and swallow the trash that they were going to bring in to the table. But you see the level of the pretense. And of course, it really doesn't take rocket science to decipher what this whole cabal was all about. So the opener is the PM's envoy tasking the Southwesterners to act. And then the next thing, they try to wash their hands. He tries to wash his hands. The PM tries to wash his hands by giving the impression, whatever you are going to be getting, I'm not part of it. But he has tasked people to act. Take action to bring peace. Take action to ensure peace and development. And ensuring peace and development means take action to make sure you end the agitations in the southern zone. And then he pretends he wants to play the Pontius Pilate by washing his hands, where you hear PM's envoy cautions elite against xenophobic tendencies towards outsiders. Who are these outsiders that they're talking about here? Who are these outsiders? Listen, don't get fooled. Because you see, they say Dr. Omar Ero demands Southwest fair share of national cake. Cool. Senator Mbelamoki advises Southwest women to increase birth rate or be extinct. And then Professor Ngole says Southwesterners must take charge of the region. Then it starts coming gradually. Despite this pretentious statement by the PM's envoy that is cautioning people against xenophobic tendencies towards outsiders. But mind you, these outsiders, not just outsiders, they are targeted. There is a clear target of who these outsiders are, who has to be fought, and who has to be attacked. Of course, it doesn't take time before Mbelamoki leads the charge. And so when it starts, you get it. Mr. Paul Biya's, playbook immediately opens. The sadistic tendencies try to see once more if the grounds have become softer to place a wedge once more between the people of the grass field or the people of the northern zone and those of the southern zone. They forget that there's a lot of information out there already that clearly indicates that things are not like they were before. That a lot of the information they try to conceal is already out there. Because over the years, the big lie, the biggest lie of all times, over the years, that has been sprayed, that has been shared to the people of the southern zone, was that the northern zone, or what they call northwest, was arid land, barren, no resources, nothing, and so it was more like a desert, and therefore there is nothing that really works there, and so the southwest is the oasis, and everybody is leaving the arid land to the oasis, leaving the desert to the oasis. Yet, I found occasion to ask this question. Can anyone tell me when it has ever happened or you have seen truckloads of foodstuff leaving any other part of the other 9 regions of the so-called Cameroon to the northern zone, or to what they call northwest? Can anybody tell me Where some truckloads of food coming from anywhere else there to the so-called arid land? No, on the contrary. We have people coming from Gabon, coming from Equatorial Guinea, coming from Central African Republic, coming from Congo, and going to our farms in Santa, going to our farms in Bafut, going to our farms in Tuba, going everywhere to buy Irish potatoes, to buy vegetable, to buy cassava, to buy, yam, to buy all kinds of food stuff. And you will see truckloads of food leaving Bamenda on a daily basis, even as I'm talking now. This is after 9 p.m. Amber time. Even as I'm talking now, there are 70-seater buses with the suits loaded with vegetable, with Irish potatoes, with beans, with water fufu, with all kinds of things, with corn, all kinds of things, headed for Yaounde, headed for Douala, headed for Victoria, headed for Buea. Even as I speak now, yet that's supposed to be arid land. Arid land which is seemingly overgreen, producing this kind of food stuff in commercial quantities year in, year out. So you see, it is an insult on the people. Because if you are from that place called Southwest, you should feel thoroughly insulted by La République du Cameroon when you hear this kind of things and you go back to examine the facts on the ground. Yesterday they said, oh, they were going there because they wanted fish. Everywhere in Donga Mantum now, there are fish ponds like you can't imagine. So fish is a commonly checked fresh. People go there, pick them. And I want to give credit here to Dr. Ngwanya, to Dr. Ning Ngwanyamia, who proliferated this fish, bringing in all kinds of fish species. Today we are talking, there is wheat growing all over that particular Northwest that they are talking about. It won't grow in most of the other places in that country. Wheat, so I'm talking about wheat, growing everywhere there, doing extremely well. And now, you go to Ngokutunja, there is so much fish coming out of Bambala, a lot of it. In the same Ngokutunja, there is rice being produced by the UNVDA, a lot of it. Go to Tingo, that's in Mezam, getting towards Mencho. All of those areas. There is no single area in that northern zone, what that we can call Northwest, that doesn't produce whatever. Go to Kejong Ketingo. Kejong Ketingo, that's Kejong up the hills, what we call Small Babanki. All over the hills there, vegetable, Irish potatoes, tomatoes, all kinds of things are produced there. All. This is supposed to be arid land. Unless people say, oh, they are coming here because they are coming after our resources. The government of La République du Cameroon has finally been forced to come out and own, although they even tried to play on the figures, that they found 600 million quantity of iron ore deposits in Donga Mantu. They are still holding back to tell you that they discovered oil in the Ntumbo area. That's Gokutunjia, going right down there, and all of those things. And in Momo, they found oil. So my people of Ambazonia, La République du Cameroon, we want to fest on this so-called lie, to try to give an impression to some people that you have everything, you are the nectar, and all others are only coming to hang there. Not even all others, only people from a particular place. Because, listen, and I want also to give kudos to my dear friend, mate, and colleague, comrade, that's Corbett Fulai Gwine, or the Corbett Factor. In his article today, he went into a clear decomposition of the various components of this area called La République Cameroon, called Southwest. And he says about 40% of the population of that area right now will be people who come from the gas field, from the northern zone, from what they call Northwest. The other 20%, well, of course, is the indigenous population. Another 20% is made up of Bamileke people. And then you have, yet in short, the rest is made up of the people from the other 7 regions of La République du Cameroon. But now take a closer look at the statistics. This other 12%, which includes the people from the littoral, the people from the center, and the people from the south, most especially, this tiny group are the ones that are in charge of the core resources in the southern zone that they are pointing to and giving them the impression that the people from the northern zone are coming to town. Take a look at Sonara. Sonara is a giant there. Who is in charge in Sonara? 90% of the staff are citizens of La République du Cameroon. Has anybody from Ambazonia ever been Director General of Sonara? It has not happened. It can't happen. But nobody, Mbelamoki doesn't see that. No. Not even Evans Golen, my friend, he doesn't see that. No. Not even Djambute, they don't see that. Sonara is an exclusive preserve of La République du Cameroon. I mean, at 90% of the posts of director in Sonara, at most two will be from Southern Cameroon. The rest are citizens from La République du Cameroon. And where does Sonara pay its taxes? In Douala, not in Buea, not in Victoria. Of course, it's not in Bamenda. It is not in Bamenda, where the people that Mbelamoki hates are supposed to come from. No. Look at the CDC, the Cameroon Development Corporation. Today, besides the Director General, top management staff, check how many citizens of La République du Cameroon are there. There are over 60%. Where does CDC pay its taxes? Where does it pay royalties? In Douala or in Yaounde. Not in Buea, not in Victoria, not in Bamenda. This is money just from these 2 companies, CDC and Sonara. I've not counted Pamol, because Pamol that is Indian, go even to Pamol. Of course, the director in charge of finance, money in Pamol, was a citizen of La République du Cameroon. Right now, as I speak, the board chairman is Okalia Bilal Bernard from La République du Cameroon. Where does Pamol pay his taxes? In Douala. In Douala. Find out, Supermon is based there. In Fako, where do they pay their taxes? They will tell you Douala. All of them. They don't pay it in Bamenda. No. They pay it in Douala or in Yaounde. This is money that was supposed to be used to transform this so-called Southwest. I said so-called, given the way that people is calling it. Don't get me wrong. To transform into an El Dorado, into a place even greater than Dubai. But where does the money go to? To La République du Cameroon. But La République du Cameroon positions itself, uses numbskulls in the name of elite. Some call themselves professors, some call themselves directors, some call themselves I don't know what, to come and say that they have been invaded and all their riches are being taken over by people from an area who are suffering like them. Oh yes, it is amazing, my people of Amazonia. Very amazing. I raise this so that we know. Because when you hear Mbelamoki say here that every household in my village has at least one person from among those people we do not like, of course he doesn't pretend it. So he said, and then he pushes further. If you come there, that's to my village today, there is no home, not one, without the people we don't like. If that home hasn't got a houseboy, that home has a tenant. That home has given a room for rentage. That home accommodates at least 10 people, while the landlord or the owner of the house has just 2 or 1 part. How do we equate that? My sisters, I have said it. Let us deliver. The Southwest region has been hijacked. Listen, I want us to go back, do a quick content analysis, because you just look at the xenophobic thing. There's something Belamoki says here. There is, if you come there to my village today, there is no home, not one home without the people we don't like. If that home hasn't got a houseboy, see the level. See the level. Houseboy. But the citizens of La République du Cameroon do not come as houseboys. They come as lords. Who is the SG of Fako? He's from the Bulu Ekambeti. Who is the governor there? The colonial governor, Bulu Ekambeti. Go to Meme. Who is the colonial SDO? Bulu Ekambeti. I want to go further. Go to Manfe. Who is the SDO there? Bulu Ekambeti. Everywhere there is Bulu Ekambeti. All over. Ekonotiti, all of them. Bulu Ekambeti. Yet, Mbelamoki doesn't see those ones. Those are the people taking all the resources. Has he forgotten that Mr. Tiku Tambe of the National Human Rights Commission pointed out that Okalia Bilai Bana alone had more land in Fako than almost all the chiefs put together. Okalia Bilai. Mbelamoki doesn't see that one. He pointed out in Gambaledu. All of them, those SGs, all of them, they appropriate to themselves the land. Mbelamoki doesn't see them. He comes to see people who come as houseboy. Those are the people who are Mbelamoki's problem. People who come as houseboy, according to his words. People who come as tenants. People who have just rented rooms. It's amazing. But that is because that's what La République du Cameroon requires of them. In Mbelamoki was ever counting that he will go to the popular vote in a free and fair election where the will of the people will determine whether he wins or not. Where he will not be appointed from Yaounde through rigged elections. Where he has to be accountable. Mbelamoki will not make this kind of lousy statements. Oh yeah. And when you move a little further, even the Guardian Post, that usually cooperates with them, said this time it was shameful and unacceptable. You look at them all, some calling themselves professors, some calling themselves doctors and everything, but all they came along with was xenophobia. All they came along with was to give the shameful impression that their land had been hijacked by people who themselves are in bondage under La République du Cameroun. But again, my people of Ambazonia, I will say this and I will repeat it as many times as I can, that La République du Cameroun believes that the only way they will succeed in keeping Ambazonia perpetually under slavery or in slavery and servitude is by dividing us. And they look at the weaker link. I insist, the weaker link. When they can actually come and tell you, take a look, hey, these people, they are invading your land, they are everywhere. You can't even win an election because they are the ones who have to determine. You can't even do this because they are the ones. And then they blindfold you from seeing the reality, the truth on the ground. That sacrosanct truth, that the person really cutting all your wealth away is that same person, is that same entity sending you to go and attack your brothers. Your brothers in misery. I mean your brothers in misery. What good roads can Mbelamoki boast of in that area that the roads were constructed because there's Sonara, there's CDC, there's PAMO? What roads? Can you? I mean, Benamoki wants to go to that particular village settlement he's talking about. In fact, I'm not sure there's a road, a good road leading there. There wouldn't be. If you are from Ekona Lelu, that I know, up Ekona up the hill, you agree with me what I mean that there are no roads. Ekona Lelu is how many miles from Buea? No road to lead there. If you come from Bafia, still in Fako, you agree with me there are no road. You come from Biya, you agree with me there are no roads. And you have to go around that mountain through Bafia, Biya, and all not to come out and eat it now. You agree with me there are no roads. Nothing to show for it. But all Menamoke, cause himself senator, can do is rant about the people who are suffering just like him. Is leave the real target and go for the soft target. That's the point here. But it's the game of La République du Cameroon to see how to subjugate us. Oh yes, the game of La République du Cameroon. I see you are getting worried, my dear comrades. I can see your outbursts, but let me not come to that. Let's take a little transition again. Yes, so you're welcome back. So, my people, the Prime Minister's envoy gave a clear instruction: act. And claim that avoid xenophobic tendencies against, strangers in the land. But acting had to be what we are seeing. And so, for a people who are like a carpenter, whose only tool is a hammer, every other person looks like a nail. The only tool they bought over elite, so-called elite, have in their toolbox is hatred, divide and rule, xenophobia, and all of that. So they had to unleash it. And the next one, they had to up it just a little bit because the instruction was clear: act. So look at this. They say,
So, the main general battle from the battle as a whole. And the summit.
I'm staying silent so that you listen to what the gentleman is saying. And you look in front of him. Look at the things lying in front of him. So they had to build this drama. And this drama had to be couched in Jan, they had to locate it in Jan, because at all costs, Chief Dr. Joseph John Bute has to show that he's working hard, he's doing something, he's fighting Amber, he's eradicating them, he's turning them. Because they don't have the means to throw some bodies on the ground and say these are Ambers that we have slaughtered and everything, they now have to resort to this one. Pitiful sight. Poorly acted drama. And then look at the sticks in front of them. This should be back in 2018 when this just started. Then allow you to listen to him.
This arms them for the hands of the government, like surrender of her mercy. Government don't find me, no be 2 years, no be 3 years. Don't find me. But we, with my boys and the community as a whole, say, we will do her mercy. We will not get opportunity for do the her mercy. But we thank God for the day of today. So at least we don't pass through some other people their hands. So see, say there is another hopes for we to live.
Can you hear what this gentleman is saying? He is a fighter. He is a number fighter. He never knew how or where to go and surrender. He never knew. Despite all the sing song by like Cameroon, DDR is there with some stupid fellow called Clovis Nasseri who comes from Dian. He couldn't have the means. This gentleman has been struggling, searching, using hunting torch, looking for the way to go and surrender. He couldn't have the means to go and do so until we finally get at some kind way, through some other way. Oh my goodness, what a shame. Anyway, listen.
This material is the one represent them for una. No be all man for Makam. This whole bomb. So why did they do their own?
So you see, the gentleman himself, to justify that he's really a commander, he is showing what he's showing for us, and then he has to justify because there are just 4 miserable things, all of them, none of them to the rank of what the self-defense volunteers are carrying today. This, like I said, this is straight from the how do you call it? From the museum. This should be straight from the museum. That's why I say there's no perfect crime. They never know how to act. Because you notice even that at some point the gentleman is talking, somebody is whispering about to him what to say. When you look at the level of his timidity, you know this is not a brave act. No. This one could never carry those things and do what they want him to claim that he carried and did. And when you look at him, and then when he shows what he says, to try to justify, he says, maybe all of Makam be the carrying thing. The rest, they just cook, they be the wash clothes. Oh my goodness. Like seriously? Anyway, enjoy.
Activities like cooking, fetching of water, washing of clothes. We get people that do once itself a week, trapping, all those things. Like they are part of their own job. So this opportunity where I get now, for thank the government where they open door for embrace whosoever don't tire for this war, so make it can surrender. So I surrender for day of.
So you can actually hear somebody talking to him. You can actually hear somebody telling him what to say in the background. The person is there busy, he's talking, he's listening, waiting. Well, that's they arrange the whole thing. Then they have to be. They could not let him read from a piece of paper so that it should look so that it shouldn't look so flagrant. So they pretend as if he's talking of his own volition. Then somebody has to stand behind and be whispering to him what to say. What a disgrace. I was like, people can keep doing these things every day. Keep doing this thing every day.
Today is 16. 16.
So, you hear them telling him what to
Of
say.
May 2023. I dey lay my hands for ground official for becomes as a Cameroonian once and for all. Thank you.
So, as you can see, my people, this is what they intended to achieve with that drama. This is all that they intended to achieve with that drama. So that the newspaper will come out and say, 2 dreaded Amber generals, 16 fighters surrender in Jan. Did we see that? Look at that, the dreaded. Amber dreaded with what? With what he had before him? With 10 guns? Dreaded. Christian, my dear brother. Dreaded. Sometimes you should look up these words in the dictionary so you understand exactly what they mean. When they say dreaded, no, they name this guy called, nobody even knows the name. No, even muscle memory doesn't give the name anywhere as someone whom they heard. In Jan, we heard about Ten Kobo. In Jan, we heard about Ikeku. In Jan, we heard about the reborns. The reborns of Jan. And at the time these folks are saying this trash, the reborns of Jan just sent to Akonolinga 3 were accepted by the Republic of Cameroon. 3 of the support their stocks with an armored car reduced to nonsense. Indian, the same time. Oh, what a shame. What a shock. I mean, the rebounds. And this guy is not from the rebound, but he's dreaded. At the time that he's already there, you say, oh, Indian should have some peace. That same Indian is acting big time. Because the last time I heard from the internal sources of La Republique from that is 5 of them are gone. The videos, the pictures and everything are there. I just don't want to share them here. They are there. And you see the effect of what they did. They were reporting from around Ide now. Report India, the same gem where this so-called dreaded person. So all that drama that you found there was just to be able to earn this newspaper headline, so that Mr. John Mute should go and tell Mr. Pobia, as you can see for yourself, I'm fighting, I'm doing so much. The people of Jan, all the guys are dropping their sticks, all of them. They are dropping. It's not just that thing that fine limbo is showing you there, that is nonsense. Oh yeah, they're dropping the sticks. So you see, the so-called elite of the so-called Southwest, when they met to talk development or whatever, not for 1 second did they talk about these over 20,000 people in Meme that are living in the bushes. Over 20,000 people in Meme. Meme, that's about 1 hour drive or less from Buea, that living in the bushes. Because the Republic of Cameroon has reduced their village settlements to ashes. Here you find them in miserable conditions. The so-called elite did not need to talk about how to take care of these people who have not been brought to where they are in those bushes by the people of the northern zone or by the Grafi people. No, they have been brought here by Mr. Pobia's thugs in Yaounde, who burnt their villages. They sat there talking. They didn't observe a minute of silence in honor of Bebe Carol Louise from Bakosi land, from Kupongwaneguba, who was brutally killed there in Buea, in the city where they were, by the thugs of Mr. Paul Biya. Melamoki Charles doesn't represent that child because the child comes from Dian or from Kupongwaneguba. Melamoki doesn't represent that child. You shouldn't even pay attention to that child. Melamoki cannot. But these 20,000 people that I'm talking about here, and this is a conservative estimate, are in the bushes. Women using leaves. Leaves. During their menstrual cycles. Leaves of trees in the bushes. A class of demagogues come and sit down. Rant about people who have no hand in what has happened here, who are also victims, and live without contributing a dime to take care of these people. That's what it is. You focus on hate, so much hate, to the point where you fail even to love yourself. When I read what my dear friend Elvis Ngole said there, and I asked myself the question, is it the Bamenda man that made it? This is a graphic man that made it. That the SDO of Kupongwaneguba, who residents in Bangem, will take 7 to 8 hours to drive away from Bangem to Melon in the littoral there. A 33-kilometer lap of road. These are the people who did it. Another SDO, of course, Colonial General, will want to visit his administrative unit. I want to go to Tombel. He will leave and cannot leave through Tombel to pass through Ninom, to pass through Elvis Ngole's village of Ndung, to pass through Nkak, to pass through Mwambong, to pass through Nyasoso, to come out in Tombel. But we'll leave and rather go through Lum in La République du Cameroon. They'll go through Melo in La République du Cameroon. That's administrative. Leave that one again to Lum and then start carrying people from Lum to get into Tombel. It's the graphic people that made that possible. That enclaved you right to that point. That a chief of Ibamut, what's a commissaire divisionnaire, will die. And to take his remains from Bangem to Ibamut up the hills there, it's a task, a horrible task because of no road. And let me even put it again. That the SDO, the colonial SDO, of Kukwingwanenguba. We want to visit Nguti, which is in his administrative unit. There's no road linking Nguti to Bangem. None. It doesn't even exist. So you have to drive out through the littoral, Melon, Lum, pass through Meme, and drive through Meme until before getting close, after Konye, getting close Koko Buma, before you start entering Nguti. Is it those people you don't like who caused that to you? And then the most dramatic one is that the Dio of Nguti, to visit his administrative, his local government area, they call it subdivision. If you have to go to what they themselves call the hinterlands of the Mbo and to the upper Mbo area, you have to leave Nguti, drive and get into Meme. From Meme into the littoral, because you pass through Lum, leave through Lum, get down to Melon, and then from there drive into the west region, the Sancho, before he's able to go to either Mbeta to the left or take the hill to go to Njungo. And when he gets to Mbeta, he has to go to Elumbambo. He has to park his car and trek for 2 hours to get there. Is this done by those people you don't like? So these are things, my people of Ambazonia. I'm raising all of this so that we all know where we stand. So we all know why we hear the things that we hear. Because this is exactly who like the Cameroon has been. This is what they've counted on over the years. That's how they were able to keep us for 60 years. And they tell themselves, by the force of persistence, they can try and try and try, and they can still succeed in killing the current spirit, the current momentum that we have towards freedom by continuing to recast the approach at divide and rule. It failed a long time ago. And listen, that's Biya's mantra. That's why you see, Jean-Jacques Kindi said this many years back. Jean-Jacques Kindi said, l'intention de Biya est de semer la discorde entre les tribus. That's who Biya is. Biya has survived only by divide and rule all over his territory. Divide and rule. You go to the east, the elite don't see eyeball to eyeball. Either you are from Abombang and I'm from Dimako and we cannot talk to each other, or you are in the south, even that is all south. You are from Mvila and I'm from Jailobo and we can't see eyeball to eyeball, or you are from the center and then you are from Onatele in the Lekie and I'm from Fu in the Nyong. We can't see eyeball to eyeball. Or you go to the west, they say they tell the people from the noon, you see these Bamileke people don't even like you, they don't see you as anybody, and so it has to be permanent fighting between the people of the noon and the rest of the Bamilikis. And then among the Bamilikis again, they'll tell those of the Nifi that look, you have been very stupid. Those of the Kunki are above you, or they meet those of the Menwa, tell those of the Menwa Sea. The people of Bambutos, they are grinding you. This is what Biya has been. So that no people ever agree anywhere to flush him out. So consequently, everybody is fighting to have a place under Mr. Paul Biya's tent. This is the rope dance. If you ever read Gulliver's Travel, written by Jonathan Swift, you will read the rope dance. That's what all are doing. So all they need everywhere are fighting each other tooth and nail. So what's happening now is they just triggered John Bute and people said, you go of that southern zone, southwest like that, you're about to lose the Prime Minister's office and also because you see, Fayemo has done so well and he's about to. And right now, even inside that particular southern zone, because even Jean-Jacques Kindi is saying, that is who Biya is. Even in that particular southern zone, let me do my Ambazonia patriotism. When there's a southern zone, right now, there is a serious fight going on between the various people there. And I'll explain to you. Because I had that playbook last night. He reached out to me and said, right now, even when they are fighting seriously that Prime Minister's office should remain in what they call Southwest, among them it is deadly. Why? Because Enum Polche, who is at the presidency of the Republic as Deputy Secretary General, believes that is the position for which everyone climbs to become Prime Minister. Only with the exception of the fact that John Gute did not become Secretary General or Deputy Secretary General before going there, but naturally that's where they will come from. Because that's where Yang came from, that's where FM Inoni came from, and so they believe. So the war is real, the battle is real. So Elvin Ngole himself is eyeing the position with red eyes, and though he's from the same people like Elum Polche, who is partially from the place of the people that they don't like, it's not easy. And then there is now another actor in that same Kupu George Ewanengide. Yesterday, he became conseiller technique at the presidency of the Republic. I tell himself they need young blood, youthful blood at the Prime Minister's office. He too is fighting tooth and nail. No stone is left unturned. That is who Mr. Paul Biya is. If you have ever read a book written by Mr. Titus Ezwa, when he graduated from the Nkonengi prison after over 14 years there, he was Secretary General at the presidency with Mr. Paul Biya. And he was Mr. Paul Biya's personal doctor. And he said the mode of operation of Mr. Paul Biya has never changed. Hitting heads, causing people to fight. Mr. Paul Biya will sit himself and he sees you, he's appointed, he sees you with your fellow brother from the same area, you're coming, he will receive both of you. Before long, he will send to receive your brother without you. And he will start telling your brother that you know that your brother who is minister, that he's so afraid of you, that you are likely to take his position. Oh yeah, he's so afraid. He's saying all over the place that because you are brilliant, he's afraid that you will take over his position. He's sowing the seeds of discord between both of you. And then after that, he will now call you the plenipotentiary. I think you see, you are prime minister like this, you don't know, you don't even know. This your son, Judge Ewane. Like yesterday you are the one who are recommending pushing and all whatnot. You see what he wants now? He wants your position. It is your place he wants now. And sometimes you say that at the end of the day, he actually goes ahead to fire you and replace you with that your acquaintance or brother or whatever that he told you wanted your position. And so you get convinced that his brother who did everything to remove you, and so fighting goes on. Heads are hit. People can't talk to each other in the various areas. There is never unity anywhere. That way, nobody can ever muster sufficient support to unseat Paul Biya. And so Paul Biya tells himself, if I keep knocking the heads of these people in Ambazonia, this elite like that, I fear some of them might soon begin to support Ambazonian project. So I need to keep hitting their head, let them focus on the immediate, on the present. Let them focus on fighting each other. Let them focus on tearing each other apart. Let them focus on hating each other. And then illiterates Lembela Moki Charles will fall onto it. Yeah. So you find illiterates Lembela Moki Charles will fall onto it and carry it on his head. Of course, in his days as mayor of Buea, everybody knew Mbela Moki never made any mystery. They had serious hatred for the people from the northern zone. He never made any mystery. And his godfather, of course, was who? No other person than Peter Mafani Musonge. And so when they let Ekema Patrick, because Ekema only became vile, terrible, and everything when the liberation movement started, and he saw in it his chance of fighting the liberation movement to qualify to get positions in Yaounde. That way he even went and got decorated by the same people that made Paul Biya Nongi. But in Mbela Moki, Peter Mafani Musonge was so mad at the lady Kema Patrick because he hired in his cabinet, his communication secretary was Moi Paul. Yes, you see him on Facebook calling himself Mark Moi, was Moi Paul. And Moi Paul was from that area where Mbela Moki and his people hate. Those people they don't like. And then the person in charge of the economic whatever, I think there was this gentle lady there, She too, although she was married to a guy from Fako, her parentage was from that same place where Mbelamoki and his people, from those people that they don't like. And so there was permanent fire on Ekema that he had come and transformed the council into Ingrafitlis. That is who Mbelamoki is. So it's not something that's coming out of him. To see, from the abundance of the heart comes only the filth or the goodness that you have therein. So let it not shock or surprise anybody. This is not who they are becoming. This is who they have always been. Don't expect them to change. But I have bad news for them. Very bad news. The bad news I have for them is that Ambazonia is real. And there is nothing any of them can do about it. Is that the never again generation, have said no to all of that trash. That's why most of them can only make that noise and then move around heavily guarded or move around in armor cars, which have now become mobile coffins. So my people of Amazonia, they have demonstrated to each and every one of us beyond reasonable doubt exactly why you should not get involved with anything called printed name. Because you are going to celebrate the day you were made a slave. You are going to celebrate the day you were dehumanized. And that's even absolute provocation. Besides being an insult. You must know these truths. Because these are the truths that will set you and me free. Share this communication as much as you can. It's important that our people know these truths, because these are the truths that will set all of us free. So, my dear people of Ambazonia, to God and to Him alone be all the glory. Stay blessed.